Good morning. After a 5-day beating, Korea's benchmark Kospi index caves in under the 2,000 level, while the U.S. dollar continues to bully the Korean won. A chance to hop on a military chopper or catch a ride on a tank. The Army headquarters is hosting a festival until the end of the week where you can do that and more. And it's the women's teams that sparkle with gold in the Asian Games as they add a couple more to South Korea's Golden Parade. Reinvigorate the mind, body, and soul at Sancheong, a city in Gyeongsangnam-do Province. Heal thy exhausted heart. On Korea Today, Thursday, October 2nd, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Oh Jin-ju and Kim Min-jung.
Good morning, everyone. So the Asian Games are now in their final stages, and there's going to be a big match tonight. The two Koreas will go head-to-head in the soccer finals. There's a lot of anticipation. It's the first time they're meeting in 36 years. The last time they met in 1978, that is, the two Koreas had tied, but there is no tying this time. One team is going to go home with the gold medal.
All right, so get that beer and chicken out.
It's going to be an exciting match. And as for the South Korean and North Korean women's football team, they met at the podium yesterday after North Korea won gold after beating Japan 3-1, and South Korea securing bronze. And they were all smiles, and it was really nice to see them congratulate each other at the podium.
We'll see if that's going to happen again this time. I think it's going to be a fierce match. Who knows who's going to go home with the gold,
So
right?
who to root for? Obviously, we're going to be rooting for South Korea, but it's one of those situations where whoever wins, kind of happy for the other team, too.
So good luck to both of the teams. All right, in the meantime, we'll get right to our top story. The local bourse yesterday took a beating due to the strong U.S. dollar and the weak yen against the Korean won. The benchmark Kospi dropped by nearly 29 points or 1.4% to close at a tad over 1991, while the tech-heavy Kosdaq ended the day 6 points lower at 567. Though the Kospi has dropped for the fifth consecutive trading day, yesterday was the first time the main index dipped below the psychologically important 2,000 level since mid-July. Foreign investors led the bearish market due to currency concerns stemming from the strengthening U.S. dollar and the weakening Japanese yen. The value of the Korean won dropped by more than 7 won to close at 1,062 won against the greenback on Wednesday, while the won lost value to the Japanese yen to end at 962 won.
Russia says that North Korea and Russia both agree on the need for SixParty Talks to resume and that it is necessary for the nations involved to refrain from taking radical measures. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with his North Korean counterpart, Foreign Minister Lee Soo-yong, who is on a 10-day visit to Russia, and announced through a press briefing that a resumption of the SixParty Talks is possible with the consent of all the participants and will require some time. Lavrov added that there is also an understanding that all the parties should refrain from sharp steps and not step up confrontation in the region. The talks between South Korea and the North, the United States, China, Russia, and Japan have been stalled since 2009 and have not resumed since.
And later tonight, Asia's largest film festival is set to roll out the red carpet for the biggest names in the film industry. The 19th Busan International Film Festival kicks off Thursday evening in Korea's southeastern port city of Busan to run for 10 days. More than 300 films from 79 different countries will be screened, including a controversial documentary that sheds light on the sinking of the Seoul ferry that killed some 300 people, mostly high school students. The opening ceremony will be hosted by Moon So-ri, who is best known for her role in Oasis, and Ken Watanabe, famous for his role in The Last Samurai.
Unless you're a member of the armed forces, you'd basically never have a chance to catch a ride on a military helicopter or a tank. But there's a place where you can actually get your hands on these rare experiences. In line with the 66th Armed Forces Day, which was yesterday, the Army headquarters is hosting a military fair that will run through the end of this week. Arirang News' Kim Hyun-bin is standing by at the festival in Gyeongsangnam City in Gyeongsangnam-do Province. Good morning, Hyun-bin.
Hey, Jinju. I'm out here live at the 12th Ground Forces Festival, the largest Army event in the country. Now, this is where a normal person can experience what it's like to be in the Korean military. But before we get started, let's take a look at what the festival has to offer. Since all able-bodied men in Korea are required to serve in the military, they are well aware of what it's like to live as a cadet day in and day out. But that leaves a large segment of the population, women and children included, that don't have a good idea of what goes on inside and out of the barracks. To enhance understanding, the Army headquarters opened the 12th Ground Forces Festival in Gyeongsangnam City this week under the theme, An Army That Connects with the People.
The Ground Forces Festival is the country's largest military fair. It offers visitors a chance to see, hear, and experience all aspects of the Army.
There are 51 events people can take part in. From attack helicopters to heavy artillery, there's much to see. But unlike other exhibitions or events, visitors have full access. One of the most popular sections is a shooting range, where people get to fire off a real rifle using blank rounds. Special military performances and maneuvers are scheduled throughout the 5-day event, where they reenact rescue missions, with heavy artillery being fired and stunts being executed.
All men must go to the army and get to experience this, but women cannot. Through this festival, we can get a glimpse of what soldiers go through. It was fun.
It's not every day one gets to hop on a military helicopter for an airborne tour, or hitch a ride on a tank. But at the festival, those options are available.
My kids are curious about the life of military personnel and they wanted to ride on the helicopter and tanks. They had the chance to do so and loved it. I would like to give my sincere gratitude to the Army, the Ministry of National Defense, and all the soldiers helping out.
If you think you're tough enough and want to step it up to the next level, you can test your might at the boot camp by climbing an artificial rock wall or jumping out of so-called mock towers, which are used for parachute training.
So, Hyun-bin, you know there's this very popular reality show in Korea where celebrities join the military for a few days, taking part in real-life training exercises. I bet a lot of people who haven't been to the military are interested to try out some of those activities. So, Hyun-bin, what does the Army aim to get out of this event?
Well, the people should keep in mind the goal of the festival, which is to create awareness of what it's like to be in the Korean military, as well as to pay respect to the active servicemen that's defending our country. Now, there's some interesting facts. Other branches of the military has fairs as this, but they're smaller in scale and size. Now, that's because over 80% of military servicemen in Korea are in the Army.
So, Hyun-bin, do you have any suggestions for people that might stop by there, any of the things you tried out there?
Well, sure thing. If you do come down, I do recommend the shooting range or the basic training area where there's a mock tower you could jump out of. Now, that's 11 meters high, which is the most feared height for an average person. Or you could just jump on a helicopter to get an airborne tour of the city. Back to you, Jinju.
All right, Hyun-bin, sounds interesting and fun. Thank you for joining us this morning. That was Arirang News' Kim Hyun-bin reporting live from Gyeongsangnam City on this year's Ground Forces Festival.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, you just heard about the country's biggest army festival currently taking place, as yesterday was indeed the 66th Armed Forces Day here in Korea. Now, there's an interesting story on 중앙일보, so let's begin with this one. It is featuring multicultural soldiers here in the nation. The title says, "My mom is Japanese, I am a Korean soldier." And in the image is a private first class who was born between a Japanese mother and a Korean father who is proudly serving in the Korean Army. Now, he could have given up his Korean nationality, but chose not to, even applying to a frontline unit. And if we do take a look at this graph, the paper says already there's almost 1,000 soldiers from multicultural backgrounds enlisted in the Korean military. And by the end of this year, the government expects the number to surpass that 1,000 mark. And by 2020, the number is expected to exceed 3,600. And the Daily notes that these multicultural conscripts will become a valuable and crucial element for the security assistance of Korea, as the country's continuing low birth rate will result in the lack of troops in the coming future. And now going over to Gyeongyang Shinmun for this front page image. You did hear about this news at the top of the hour. The picture is titled "South and North Korean Women's Football Teams United as One." So yesterday's football victory at the Incheon Asian Games united fans and athletes from both sides of the border here on the Korean Peninsula. The North Korean team's earning of a gold and South Korea's winning of a bronze in women's football created a warm atmosphere of friendship among the players from both sides. And now switching gears to a rather unfortunate piece of news here on 동아일보. And this is on the possible side effects of extending the retirement age. The header says an increase in retirement age, a decrease in youth employment. If we take a look at the sub-headlines here, the government is encouraging companies to extend their age of retirement for employees to above 60 years of age starting 2016. And because of this, businesses are now choosing to recruit less of the young job-seeking crowd. Companies, especially small and medium-sized businesses, fear hiring new recruits because they need to prepare ahead of time for increased personnel expenses or labor costs directed towards the more elderly workers. And lastly, we'll take a look at some business news here on the Korea Economic Daily for this side story regarding a severance payment. And this is called retirement pension to be increased for employees choosing own work hours. So if you remember, on Monday, I talked about the government's push to promote a system of work hour selection at private firms, which means workers at such companies will be allowed to choose their own work hours for reasons such as child caring or nursing family members. Now, to support this, the government this flexible part-time job system. The government also says it will make sure that those who choose their own work hours will not be given a disadvantage when switching from full-time jobs. The part-time workers will also be eligible to receive all 4 of the key national insurances and will be granted the apt amount of retirement pension calculated accordingly to match their part-time work hours. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Thursday. Now following are the stock numbers from Wednesday.
Let's now get a check on the weather. The morning is off to a chilly start here in Seoul.
It sure is. And we are going to have a 3-day holiday, three-day holiday weekend. So we're going to check the weather for that for today, as well as a peek into tomorrow's with Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from the outdoors with more. And
Good
it's
morning
raining.
to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning, guys. Yes, October has brought with it morning conditions which are noticeably chillier. Today we have overcast skies nationwide and it's already drizzling on and off here in Seoul. Even the afternoon will feel a little bit chilly as a round of nationwide precipitation is in store for us. Up to 30 millimeters of showers are on its way in the northern part of the country, sent from a trough of low pressure system further north. The central regions will receive lighter showers of up to 10 millimeters, and toward the southern regions, the rain will be just about 5 millimeters. So don't forget to take your umbrella on your way out this morning. Now moving over to Incheon, where the Asian Games are taking place, the rain might affect outdoor matches, including Team Korea's final soccer match. So just keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for the best of luck. Now let's move on over to take a closer look at today's temperature readings. Midday highs hover below mid-20s all across the nation. Seoul just remains at 22, while Gwangju and Busan are the warmest at 25. Gangneung is the coolest at 20 degrees Celsius due to the strong easterly winds. The nationwide rain will exit today, but the clouds will linger all throughout the weekend. This is all for me with the weather forecast, and I'll be back later in the show for a special exhibition here in Seoul. Back to you, Minjang.
Now, pressure is mounting and patience thinning in the massive pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong. We'll take a closer look at this situation with our Eunice Kim, who's standing by at the News Center. Good morning.
Good morning, Minjung.
Now, student leaders are threatening to occupy government buildings if Hong Kong's embattled chief executive does not resign, and there's a deadline within 24 hours.
That's right. That ultimatum was officially issued on Wednesday. Lester Shum of the Hong Kong Federation of Students explained to the Associated Press that there was no room for dialogue with Chief Executive C.Y. Leung because he had ordered tear gas on protesters over the weekend. Leung had previously rejected a call to address the swelling crowds, and there is concern now that police aggression could step up again if indeed demonstrators storm government buildings. This as in China, the Communist Party-run People's Daily warned of, quote, unimaginable consequences should the protests persist, as state-run TV in Hong Kong declared residents should support decisive police enforcement meant to restore social order as soon as possible. Now, in Washington, Secretary of State John Kerry reiterated U.S. support for the highest possible degree of autonomy for Hong Kongers, to which his Chinese counterpart, Minister Wang Yi, replied the protests are China's internal affairs and that no country would allow illegal acts against order. The volcanic eruption of Japan's Mount Ontake has claimed the deadliest toll in 90 years. Nagano police said the death toll from Saturday's blast rose to 47 as rescue workers resumed their search Wednesday despite the risk of another blast. Some 1,000 troops, police, and firefighters wore surgical masks and carried toxicity measuring devices as they canvassed the volcano amid ash and gas spewing from the crater. Helicopters brought bodies down from the 3-kilometer high peak. Special cutting machines were used to free bodies stuck between rocks. Others were buried in ash.
All right, well, let's turn to the Ebola outbreak now. For the first time, a patient in the U.S. has been diagnosed with Ebola, and we're learning now that a second person is being monitored for infection as well. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, you'll remember the chief of the CDC, Thomas Frieden, had announced yesterday of America's first Ebola diagnosis, and that patient has been identified as Thomas Eric Duncan. And the second suspected case is someone who was in close contact with Duncan, according to the director of Dallas County's health department. And more information on Duncan now. He was said to have been visiting family in Texas and showed no symptoms when he arrived in Dallas from Liberia on September 20th. He sought care at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital after feeling ill for a day or two, but was sent home with antibiotics, even though he had told hospital staff that he had been in West Africa. Now, it wasn't until 2 days later that that's this past Sunday on the 28th, that he was finally placed under isolation after entering the ER. So now a team of federal health officials are tracking people who might have come in contact with Duncan during those days that he showed symptoms, which is when Ebola becomes contagious. Now, ambulance crew and school children were among those examined, and U.S. health officials are saying that they do not believe that anyone on the same flight as Duncan was at risk of Ebola. And with that, we'll wrap your look at the global headlines we're following this morning.
One of the most well-known star-crossed lover story in the history of literature in the form of an opera. The opera Romeo et Juliet begins today for a 4-day run by the Korean National Opera. Today, we're joined by Irina Lungu. Juliet joining us in the studio. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay, so this is not your first time in Korea. This is your second time visiting Korea, I believe, and we're also happy to have you back. You've been in numerous very well-known performances, yet this is your first time playing Juliet in Romeo et Juliet, right?
Yes, correct. But I've already been here in Korea. I came here some years ago for Traviata. It was a marvelous production, very successful production, and I have lovely memories about that trip. And now I'm very happy to be back for my debut as Juliet, and I have to say that I wanted to do this debut for a long time, and I was looking for the right opportunity because I already have some of major French roles in my repertoire. And I'm really happy it is here in Seoul.
Now, the role of Juliet, it has to be a tricky role to play. There's been so many different renditions of Romeo and Juliet with different actresses playing that role, and each and every single one trying to come out with something a little bit unique. Tell us about your role of Juliet and your Juliet played by you.
Yeah, I have to say that for me, Juliet is an impressive role. And she is a universal symbol of first love, of youth, of innocence, and pure feelings and absolute feelings. And I have to say also that I found it particularly suitable for my voice, this role. And the feelings and sensations and emotions comes naturally. And it's like a first love you can never forget. And I really enjoy performing.
Did you reach into your inner Juliet, for example, the young Irina who fell in love for the first time?
Of course.
Pull some of that out?
Of course.
Were there any difficulties in playing Juliet or preparing for this role?
I'm interested because there is another theme in this opera, and I'm particularly interested in the theme of the fate. Of a destiny, and this is really difficult to catch it. And you know, the two lovers are linked for something bigger than them, for something beyond their will. And it's like, you know, in love we can play, but we are also played by the mysterious rules of love. You know.
And how erratic that situation can be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the opera, this is the opera version of Romeo et Juliet. We've seen theater productions, we've seen movies, films, plays, we mentioned that already. But tell us what makes the opera different? So what makes this Romeo et Juliet different from all the other renditions and genres that Romeo and Juliet has been produced in?
I think, first of all, this Romeo and Juliet is, first of all, French opera. So it's a very romantical rendition of the drama of Shakespeare. But Gounod had a special talent, a melodic talent. So I think all the sensations, all the emotions with the music are stronger. And it's because the opera is much more emotional, it's much more moving.
Okay, so aside from the role of Juliet, let's talk Irina. What do you have planned for the future after this 4-day run of Juliet on Romeo et Juliet?
I have a lot of projects, and very important projects. And for example, I will be performing Traviata many times during the next season. And but I really love this production, our wonderful production. We have marvelous settings, and we have impressive and very elegant costumes. And I'm really happy to be a part of this high-level production, and with very nice colleagues also. With Francesco, we did so many operas together. And I also met a lot of Korean colleagues. They are so well prepared, so talented, so professional. So for me, it's a big, big pleasure to be a part of this production. And thank you for your wishes. And I hope to be back very soon in Korea.
All right, sounds great, and we wish you the best debut and also the best run that you can possibly have. And we also will be following your career. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to take a trip to Jirisan Mountain and get surrounded by nature. The Tullegil path is one way to escape the city and immerse your soul in the middle of a natural backdrop, then shack up at a luxurious Hanok Stay to cap the night. That's coming up later on Korea Today.
All right, well, trending online this morning is Korean footballer Park Ji-sung, who is widely expected to be the club's ambassador to Manchester United.
Right, and it's a huge honor for Park Ji-sung, as this prestigious position was given to only a handful of other former players. For more, Seo Mi-sorang joins us in the studio. Good morning, Ms.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I mean, don't forget that this is a guy who had the Old Trafford on his wedding invitation a while back, so I'm sure he's more than happy to be their ambassador. Now, if we rewind back to Tuesday, Manchester United posted on their Twitter account that they have an exciting announcement to make, an upcoming announcement. Now, they haven't exactly said what the announcement is just yet, but many insiders, they believe that it's to do with Park Ji-sung having recently signed a one-year contract with the club to become their ambassador. Now, as an ambassador, he will attend around 10 Manchester United events held in Asia to promote the team and their partners. Now, the cherry on the top is that just for attending these 10 events, he's getting paid $140,000 US.
Wow. So not a bad
paycheck,
there,
yeah.
Right? And how big of a deal is this really? How many other ambassadors have there been? And tell us.
Well,
put
apart
it
from
into
the big
perspective.
money, to give you an idea, he's only the 7th ambassador in the club's history, the first non-European ambassador. And he'll be joining the ranks of Sir Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law, to just name a few. So it's definitely a huge, huge honor, a huge accomplishment, a big deal for Park Ji-sung. Now let's see what else people are talking about online. Now, on the economic front, the US dollar is going strong. So to reflect this, Goldman Sachs, they have revised their won forecast. They've increased their 3-month prediction from 1,031 per dollar to 1,060. And Korean scientists, they've come up with a new type of battery. Do you guys remember recently we've had the textile battery on our show? Well, this one's made from paper, and like the textile battery, it's bendable, it's flexible, and as well, this one is a world first, so a lot of people are focusing on this one.
Interesting.
A lot of applications. And yesterday, the Korea Drama Awards was held. Now, it's one of the 2 major drama awards here in Korea, along with this whole International Drama Awards. And yesterday, the grand prize of the night went to Kim Soo-hyun for his role as Do Min-jun from My Love from the Stars. And this mega hit of a drama racked up 3 other dramas as well, including Best Drama, Best Rookie Actor for An Jae-hyun. He played Chun Ji-hyun's younger brother, if you remember. And the Hot Star Award for Shin Sung-no, who played the villain. Unfortunately, nothing for Chun Ji-hyun though. No awards here yet.
But My Love from the Star really is the drama of the year. It's racked up so many awards, not just in this ceremony, but in many others as well.
Right. I mean, this drama, it's racked up, what, I think 12, more than a dozen major awards so far this year, including the grand prizes at the Pixang and the Seoul International Drama Awards. And if you guys remember, there was that whole craze for a long time about, Cheonsonggi sunglasses, Cheonsonggi
and Cheonsonggi lipstick.
Cheonsonggi lipstick.
That someone got me for my birthday present, in fact.
Well, my birthday is in December. My birthday is in December, guys.
We'll mark our calendars for that. Thank you,
welcome.
for that.
Thank you.
It's good to be Kim Soo-yeon, right?
Now, there's a hotel in downtown Seoul that's celebrating its 100th anniversary.
That's right. And one of the rooms here at this hotel charges up to 20,000 US dollars a night. That's a night. That's right. So most of us will probably never spend a night there for the rest of our lives. But we will take a peek into this room with our Chun Song-cho, who's standing by in that very room. So let's go over to her right now. Hi there, Song-cho.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from the oldest hotel in Korea, the Chosun Westin Seoul. It was built in 1914, which means it's been around for almost a century. That's quite a history, right? And I'm here, the reason why I'm here today is because apparently there's a special exhibition going on in this very special room. If you look out the window first, you can see the view, you can see the Seoul City Hall Square. And before we look around the room, let me talk to the hotel PR coordinator to ask what the exhibition's about. So good morning.
Good morning.
So can you tell us a little bit about the exhibition?
Absolutely. Marking its 100th year anniversary on October 10th, the Joseon Hotel has witnessed the most dramatic and turbulent times in Korean modern history. This exhibition will take you back to the past and present of the Joseon Hotel.
Oh, I see. And as you can see, the room is humongous, looking very fancy. So can you tell us exactly what room we are in?
This is actually the presidential suite, which is the largest suite in the hotel for the VIPs. In fact, many of the renowned artists and foreign officials have stayed here. To name a few, the cellist Hannah Jang and the former Prime Minister of Australia, Juliet. For another 100 years, we will keep our legacy as a leading hotel in Korea, delivering the best quality service.
All right, thank you very much for your answers this morning. Thank you. And just to give you a fact, I heard that this room cost about $18 million, which is around 17,000 won. It's actually, it's 18 million won, so roughly $17,000 a night. So that's quite an expensive room, right? So first, let's look at an array of pictures here exhibited. You can see You can see portraits, different pictures. This picture first, this is what the hotel used to look like back in 1967 when it was rebuilt. So you can see the style, the design of the hotel is very different from today's. And this picture is about the fact that the hotel had Korea's first elevator ever in history. So that's quite an amazing. And let's move along to the left chamber. And here you can see all these different portraits of public figures and celebrities who used to stay in this room for the past 100 years. So if you come here, camera, if you come over here, the very top picture, you can see Korea's first president, Lee Seung-man, and the next picture is a noted Korean independence fighter, Dr. Seo Jae-pil. And below is former US President Eisenhower. I can almost feel their presence here in the hotel. So we've taken a look around the oldest hotel in Korea. It almost felt like visiting a historical site because I can see the traces of the last 100 years from the hotel's perspective. And the exhibition will be around until October 12th, so do pay a visit if you're interested. I mean, it's not every day that you get to experience $17,000 hotel in a room in a 5-star hotel, right? This has been Chun Sang-cho, Korea Today.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we continue on with our 2014 Incheon Asian Games coverage, starting off with some notable gold medal finishes, one of which was the South Korean women's handball team and their first gold medal in 8 years. Now, the South Korean women's handball team were known as the powerhouses in the sport, won 5 straight Asian Games gold starting in 1986 before losing to Japan in the 2010 Asian Games. But it was payback time as the South Korean national team dominated the offense and the defense, beating Japan 29-19 to reclaim their Asian Games gold. Meanwhile, over in the women's hockey final, the South Korean women's team finally claimed their first Asian Games gold in 16 years as Kim Dae scores the lone goal in the third quarter as they defeat China 1-0. And now moving over to rhythmic gymnastics with Sun Yeon-jae in her first day of competitions on Wednesday. Now the rhythmic gymnast went into her preliminary group competition followed by her team competition. Now first off, overall in the team competition, the team of Sun Yeon-jae, Lee Dae, Kim Yoon-hee, and Ina Kyung were able to score a combined 164.046 points from the 4 apparatus routines to finish second behind Uzbekistan for their first silver medal finish. Meanwhile, over in the Group B preliminary competition, Sun Yeon-jae finished first in all 4 routines, finishing with 53.882 points. And the score beats her rival Dan Sun-wei's Group A preliminary score of 52.883 as the South Korean rhythmic gymnast hopes to win Korea's first ever gold medal later tonight. And moving on, South Korea saw its first ever silver medal finish, this time over in the 50-kilometer race walk competition as Park Chil-sung finished second in the race. Now, with the nation having only won silver and bronze in the 20-kilometer competitions in the past, the first ever silver medal in the 50-kilometer race walk competition was won by Park Chil-sung after coming in at a final time of 3 hours, 49 minutes, and 15 seconds. And to make it even more special, the silver medal finish was his first ever medal in the Asian Games competitions. And another special silver medal finish for Korea, this time over in the women's lightweight boxing competition. With 25-year-old Park Jin-ah facing off with China's Yin Jun-hwa in the final fight, the fight does go to decisions where the South Korean lost 0-2 and finished with a silver medal. Now, despite the loss, it was Korea's first silver medal in the event as well. Meanwhile, during the medal ceremony, India's Lashram Sarita Devi, who lost to Park in the semifinals match, gave her bronze medal to the South Korean in protest, citing that she disagreed with the judge's decision. Meanwhile, India's protest has been rejected by the boxing jury at the Asian Games. Now, South Korea did add a number of late gold medals on Wednesday, including the 3 gold medals in Taekwondo and a few more over in Greco-Roman wrestling. So, before I say goodbye, let's take a look at the current medal count at the Incheon Asian Games after 13 days of competition. And I'll see you guys again for your sports needs.
One of the biggest advantages about being in Korea is the fact that you get a chance to see all 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And autumn is that time when things just kind of close. You know, when everything comes to the end of the month, we reach that 4th quarter. We see the colors changing. We see the foliage. And autumn is one not to be missed.
That's right. It's the perfect season to get around the country. Beautiful autumn foliage and just beautiful weather also.
That's right. And the food is just
fantastic.
fantastic.
We're going to check out a city in Gyeongsangnam-do Province, I believe. It's called Sancheong, a beautiful place that I have yet to check out myself.
And
but Joey marked it on to beat us to it.
Exactly. Right? He beat us to it. He went to that location and he has so much information about that place. So tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I do. So we are going to heal the mind, body, and soul today. And I'm going to help you do that.
You guarantee this? You're going to help us
yeah,
do this?
I guarantee. I'm going to help you do it.
My heart needs a little healing right now.
Does
by
it?
the end of this segment, right?
All right. Well, body for sure. I'm going to give you some body healing for sure.
All right.
So we are headed to Sancheong in the Gyeongsangnam-do Province, and it's just northeast of Chirisan Mountain. Now, this place is also known as a healing city. Now, I'll tell you why. There are two reasons. The first reason is because of the Jirisan Mountain trekking course. Second reason is because there are over 1,000 herbs found in this area that are used for traditional Korean herbal medicines. Okay, so legend has it that an ancient Chinese king, he was determined to find the elixir of youth plant, and the first place he went to check was Sancheong.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've gotten younger from that experience, I suppose.
Do you think so?
You certainly look younger.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the hair, but anyways.
Sure.
Yeah, so it was the first place he looked, and I decided that I should go take a look for myself, and I found some treasures and some healing myself, and that's what I'm here to show you today.
All right, let's go.
So, let's have a look. At the southern end of the Baekdu-daegan mountain range that cuts across the Korean peninsula is Chirisan Mountain, home to about 800 flora and fauna and countless scenic locations. Circling Chirisan Mountain is the famed Tulegil Trails, a 247-kilometer long course that connects 5 cities and 3 provinces. My trip started at Sancheong, one of the cities the Tulegil Trail passes through.
So you can actually take this all the way up to North Korea.
Yes. Yep, this is it. I arrived at the start point of the Jirisan Tulebogo Trail, and it's such a cute, quaint little place. Waterfalls, beautiful flowers, and it's got me really excited for what's to come next. For trail information, all you need to do is download the Korea Tourism Organization audio guide app. I started off on the Suchol to Ochon village section of the trails. This course is about 15.5 kilometers long and follows a river along the edge of Sancheong. Everywhere I looked, there were signs of fall like these ripe chestnuts.
So pretty,
Wow. Fresh chestnut.
too.
Free snacks on the trail. I strolled along the trail by myself and free of worries, just soaking in everything around me. Of course, on a beautiful day like this, I wasn't alone.
There are villages around the Dule path, so you don't feel isolated. And the fields and mountains show you how attractive rural scenery can be.
저도 좋아요. Me too. Very nice.
What are those?
After a while, I came across Gyeonghogang River. It was calling out my name, so I just had to take a moment to stop there.
You went out there on a perfect day.
I did. Oh, this water is so fresh, so clean. You just wanna wash yourself and jump in, and I just wanna be part of this. Just off the Tulegil course is the Dongui Bogam village, a Korean medicine-themed park. I heard that during the Chosun dynasty there was a very famous doctor named Ho-jun, and he was famous for healing people with herbal medicines.
That's right.
What kind of herbs and medicine I need? Dongui Bogam, or The Principles and Practices of Eastern Medicine, was written in the early 17th century by Ho-jun, a Joseon dynasty physician. Now, this park was named after that invaluable volume of work, and it lived up to its name.
What's this feet washing all about?
I feel alive for the first time. So this museum is where you can learn more about Korean medicine and the medicinal herbs used in that field. And I really liked the exhibit on acupressure for your hands. 요즘에 피염 때문에요. 고생해요. 많이 해요.
그러시면은 여기 보면 합곡이라고 합니다. 요 보면 일자리 합곡 열자리인데 요걸 누르시면은 비염에도 도움이 되고 눈 피로에도 도움이 됩니다.
Something so simple as squeezing a point on your hand can improve circulation and make something like rhinitis, which I have, feel better. At the park's highest point, are 3 boulders said to contain concentrated amounts of ki, or chi, meaning a natural energy force. There is a 140-ton boulder shaped like a tortoise, one with a phoenix engraved into it, and you can channel their
that
ki.
is lacking, you know, when I'm in the city. Being here, standing here, there's a clarity, there's an energy, a force that you feel, and it's really cool.
And this boulder is the rock of good fortune. You're supposed to try to stand a coin on its edge
Wow.
on top of the rock, and if you do, you get good luck.
Let's see you do it.
Ta-da!
Wow.
And that's a good sign, and that's good because I need some good fortune.
Now, getting all that good ki and great fortune was exhausting. So it was time to unwind, and I had the perfect spot, a hanok previously owned by aristocrats.
That was my home in my past life. Yes.
Retro.
계십니까?
네, 누구십니까?
예.
반갑습니다. 어서 오세요.
네, 반갑습니다.
You're supposed to say 이리 오너라.
This Hanok homestead is 3,000 square feet, an example of one where the upper-class aristocrats may have lived way back when. Now, it's a Hanok guest house named Sancheong Yulsuwang.
It's beautiful.
It is very nice, well preserved. I'm sure there were some renovations over it to keep it like that.
Yes.
but
Now, unless
nice.
you've been there, it may be hard to understand, but there's something about these traditional houses called hanoks. It's just tranquility and puts your mind at ease.
Yeah, that TV just does not look right in there, though.
Now, this is something else that was unique. They had a dry heat sauna on the ground, and it was made out of red clay, and in the dry heat, it was really hard not to fall asleep.
You might die falling asleep there.
Nice and relaxed. And I'm feeling a bit hungry. Oh, there's a wonderful smell coming from right over there. It's time to go find out what's for dinner.
I was more than content with everything at the Hanok Stay so far, but the cherry on top was the food. It was healthy and tasty, and you could taste how fresh the ingredients were. Bibimbap and mountain herb side dishes. I finished everything.
Wow, looks so good.
Just have all the fun.
I do. Another picturesque moment to put in my Korea travels notebook. Just a guy enjoying a cup of tea under the night sky. This is definitely a life I could get used to.
You just won't stop eating.
And the best part is right up there, the night sky. Something you won't find with the bright lights in Seoul. Just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
What a perfect way to end your day, right? Under the moon. Wow. And I live in Hanok myself, but there is no 찜질방. It's not, it doesn't come with. But this homestay, this Hanok Stay, it comes with the 찜질방, the sauna.
It's
Interesting.
pretty unique, and you know it may have looked like I had it all to myself and that it was a private 찜질방, but that's not the case. I just happened to get it at like really good timing, and I got to be in there all alone. Everyone who visits the Hanok Stay has access to this 찜질방, and it was really relaxing. Some other great things I liked about the Hanok Stay was, of course, the food. Young, you mentioned it. I mean, I love eating, and the food there was fantastic. And food, after you have a good sweat, like food is extra tasty. I really also liked the quiet, the peace, and of course, the stars.
Yeah, the stars as well, right?
Like really heals your mind and probably body if you're actually there.
Right, I'm sure.
So the place that I stayed was called the Sancheong Yulsuwang. That was the name of it. Now there are other ones as well. If you liked what you saw and you'd like to enjoy something similar to that, make sure to check out the websites for more information on other Hanok Stays.
Okay, so it's hanokstay.co.kr, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you can find information on the Hanok Stay.
And you met
OR. Sorry.
That's right.
KR, right.
And you met an
OR.kr.
expert on acupuncture points. Did it help you with your rhinitis?
Yes, it did. It helped me. Honestly, it was instant.
Really?
So I want to show you some of the stuff that I learned.
Sure.
There are so many acupressure points on the hands. So you can basically heal or at least begin to heal almost every point of the body just by stimulating points on your hand. So what I want you to do is hold out your hand like this. Okay, now let's say you have indigestion. Okay, you want to look at the point inside of the palm of the hand between the thumb and the index finger right in here.
Right.
And you want to press there firmly.
협곡, I believe
Yes,
this point
that's right.
is called.
Now, if you experience a bit of pain, that's actually a sign that you need healing in that place.
I experience.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think most people have, some
Feels
digestion.
nice.
And
Or
it
maybe
feels
it's just
nice.
natural that we
Pressing
feel
it.
pain over here.
No.
It's the body signaling that there's something going on. So what you're doing by pressing these points is actually telling the body, hey, you need to take a little bit more care here. You need to send some blood here. You need to send some oxygen here. Another point, let's say you've got a headache here on the middle finger, the first section of the middle finger right at the joint here. You want to massage that area right there, and that's good for a headache. Okay? And then another point, where I've got my tattoo here on the wrist, take both of your wrists. This is also for headache, and you can
Okay.
do
This is interesting.
This also just, if you do it for like a minute, there's a
Right.
therapeutic element to this that beyond
It kind
words.
of looks silly doing
Yeah,
it,
maybe,
but I
but,
mean, it
all
helps.
three of those points, I'll be honest with you, it hurts. All three of
It just
all three
means
of
the
those
Okay,
points.
so maybe
I just must be the most unhealthy person in the world.
well, maybe you just need more information on healing. And if that is the case, then what you can do is visit a place called the Hanbang, and it's going to be featured during the Sancheong Herbal Medicine Festival, Medical Herb Festival. I'm sorry. It's going to be featured there. It's a theme park, and what you can learn there is just invaluable stuff. They're going to teach you. They'll give you information on your ki, like I mentioned earlier, on how to balance your energy. You can experience foot baths, body baths. You get a free checkup from a traditional medicinal doctor. So there's lots of great things that you can do there.
Okay, it's amazing these traditional medicine doctors here in Korea, they're able to know what's wrong with you and what kind of ailments that you may be suffering from just by looking at you and maybe checking a heartbeat or two. They're pretty good at stuff like that. But now let's talk about a little bit about the Juliet course that you went to. Now it's a long walk actually, right? But there was no directions that were featured. It seems like was it easy to find your way, find the direction to go?
Okay. If you don't have the app, it may not be the easiest. So that's what I'm here to tell you, okay? I went by myself, and it didn't look like I was lonely, did it? I mean, I was having a good time. I was there cruising by myself.
Self-entertaining, right?
Yeah, and people go with friends or they go with family, and no matter who you go with, so in my case, alone or with friends and family, what you have with you is this great travel guide in the form of an app, a downloadable app I mentioned in the report. And you just download it from the Tulegil website. And what it does, it gives you, as you're walking, it gives you directions, and it gives you tons of information on the course and what you're looking at and why it's special and the history behind it. And it's in Korean and in English.
So educational, and it also gives you directions, right?
That's right.
Sounds great.
Well, the long weekend is here, just around the corner, so maybe our viewers can check it out.
Yes, and starting next week actually is the official beginning of the foliage season. Like when we had mentioned earlier, basically the leaves are turning red and orange. And when I went, it was already beautiful. So I can imagine what it would look like a week from now. It's just going to be just gorgeous.
All right, so I'm skipping this weekend then. I'll take care of bikes and go next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah.
Put that off. All right, thank you, Jessie, so much for joining us today.
Joey.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, well, this is where we say goodbye on this Thursday morning already.
All right, I might actually get the program name wrong now. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.